How to effectively lead your team. As you grow a business and as you build up partners, employees, and team, you're gonna have a team, and they may be internal, it may be external, but regardless, when you have a business, you're gonna be building this team. And if you have a team, the key is, how do I effectively lead them? Let me share with you just a couple of quick steps that I've learned, mostly through failure, not always through success. I've learned what to do. Number one, be bold as a leader. And I'm gonna actually share the most important thing last, so stick with me. But number one is be bold. And what do I mean by that? Here's an interesting example. When you're a leader, you have to make big statements, big steps, and you've got to be bold in those. You've got to be confident behind that. I remember too, being in front of a room one time, and I was saying some really bold things, and there happened to be someone in the room. There's a visitor in this presentation I was doing, and they were there, and they were intoxicated, and they were making a lot of statements. They were over here just causing a scene off my side. And I remember thinking, okay, as a leader, I've got to be bold, and I've got to call out the elephant in the room. And what I realized is everyone knew that was going on. And so by me as a leader of this room, pretending like it's not happening was actually not being a leader. And so she started talking, and I stopped, and I sort of confronted this. And then she asked, she's like, do you want me to leave? I said, yes, I think we'd all like you to leave. And so she got up and left, and people started clapping. And in fact, we had a great conversion to our company based on the people that were sitting in that room. And I had many individuals afterwards come up and say, man, I really appreciated that you called that out. And the lesson for me in walking away from that is people are very astute. They can see things happening. And if you're not bold enough to call them out, bold enough to lead, then somebody else will fill that void. Somebody else will be a voice of boldness in your organization, in your company, or with your business partners. Number two, lead to VPA, which is values, process, and accountability. You're not gonna manage people, but you can lead and manage to your values, your process, and your accountability. So what do I mean by that? In our organization, we have 5 core values. In this set of core values, we lead to. We work with people through those core values. We hire to those core values. We talk about them all the time. They're entrenched in everything we do. Because they're entrenched in everything we do, it allows me to lead people around those values. I don't have to come in and say, hey, I didn't like the way you did this, or I don't like the way you do that, or please come along and do it this way. These values give the team and the people I'm around a framework and a roadmap to operate within. And so I can lead to those values. You don't have core values in your business or with your employees or with your team or your vendors or your partners. It's worth the few hours to sit down and identify those. And for us, it's 5 simple words. And I've got other videos you can refer to about how to get your core values and how to hire to those. But these values, these 5 values, are just 5 simple words that we use to lead everything that we do with people. The next is process. So your values, your process. The process is something you simply lay out on how to do it, the how-tos of every part of it. The values are more why, process is how. And the process is, step 1, you do this, and document it. Step 2, you do that. Step 3. See, when people know the values and they know the process, they're more confident in the job that they do. There's no ambiguity. There's no like, well, am I supposed to do it this way? No, there's values and there's a process. And then the third is the accountability. And actually the accountability is what ties that all together. The accountability piece actually builds trust. The accountability piece builds culture. If I hired you to do something in our business and I said, this is your job, this is what you get measured by, and this is how you get paid. But at no point do we ever hold you to that or check on that or measure it or any of that. You would say, do you really even trust what I'm doing, or do you really even care what I'm doing? So we have to have these measurables. In fact, my team this morning just went back through again and re-looked at the measurables that we have and said, are these the important measurables that we want to track for accountability? So again, it's be bold, which leads to confidence. And then it's values, process, and accountability that help pull that all together. And then the last one, which I think is the most important, I saved it for last because it's the one I want to spend the time on. I was in a meeting with some leaders of an organization, and the person who was leading this discussion said, what is the most important skill as a leader? And there was lots of ideas that were thrown out. Trust, it was hard work, all of these things. He said, I'm going to challenge you guys to think even deeper, because that to me is not any one of the things that makes the best leader to effectively lead a team. Having all of us in the room thrown out an idea, we kind of went, okay, if it's not one of these, I feel like we're playing the game that we're just supposed to guess the right answer. And he said, it's not guessing the right answer. I want you to really think about what makes the best leaders. And so he stopped us and he said, think of a leader for yourself. What made them a great leader? And he went through a whole discussion. He took a ton of ideas and so forth. He said, okay, let's come back to this because we're still not getting it. Let's come back. As leaders in this room, we're not understanding something he's trying to teach us, which was clear. So then he went through and he started asking us, what are our biggest issues that we have in our leadership role? So we went through these leadership things. And now fast forward, now it's been about 30 minutes from the time he asked us this question. He comes back and he says, now, let me take you guys back. What do you think the most effective skill is in being a great leader? And it dawned on us, the skill was listening. See, what he was doing was he was asking us questions to get us to get to a point, and then what he did is he switched, and then he demonstrated, and he started telling us what are the biggest issues that we have? How are we solving it? What could he do to add value? How could he help us, right? It wasn't telling us everything to do. He was simply asking us great questions and listening as a leader. And so it became really clear to all of us that listening is an effective way to lead. I think the mistake that I've made at times, and nobody's perfect as a leader. Look, you go to the library right now, go to a bookstore, go to Amazon, type in leadership right now. Look at how many leadership books there are, which will tell you 10 different ways to be an effective leader. You'll be like, I don't really understand it. If you look at the simple ones that I showed, be bold, lead to VPA, values, process, and accountability. And third, listen. It really doesn't have to be that much more complicated than that. Yes, we could write big books about it. We could create training videos. But if you simply do that, then you can allow people the space to do their job. Because remember, you've given them the job. It's now their job to do. Don't take it back. Just follow this process. Follow that framework to help them be successful. And when you do that and you listen to what they need to the best that you can, you listen to the customers, you're listening for the pulse of the business. And when you stop and listen, it allows you to now make decisions as a leader to now effectively lead the team. And they will actually go because they're confident in what you're providing the path for them to achieve. This is something I wish I'd learned early on. I've learned it through a lot of hard challenges, a lot of mistakes, a lot of on-the-job learning, if you will, through learning this. But what I found is if you implement these things and you effectively lead a team, it lifts you to be in a different role, to really be that leader. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe it, and share this with a friend. Maybe you've got somebody who is taking a new leadership role and they're like, hey, what's a new book I can read on leadership? Share this video with them because this is a really simple process to implement to be a better leader. And as you become a better leader, you'll see the impact and growth in your business.